Hello and welcome to the next in our series of 10 Top Tips. Today I'm joined by Hannah Avison, who works with the City of Edinburgh Resettlement Programme, and Hannah's going to share her 10 top tips for getting low-level learners speaking. So over to you, Hannah.
Okay, thank you, Sue. Okay, so top 10 tips for getting low-level learners talking. Number 10, start with your learners. Make it relevant. What language do they need or want to use in their everyday lives? You can ask them, or you can observe what language they need to use. Some examples could be offering food and drink, classroom language, making an appointment at the doctor's, or asking about buses, or anything really, just anything that they will find useful and relevant. Number 9 is teach chunks of language. So look for useful chunks of language that your learners can manage, and teach the whole chunk. You might need to make the chunks smaller for different groups. For example, offering food and drink could be, would you like a cup of tea? But that might be too much for some groups. So it could be, would you like tea? Or even just to start off with, tea. So break the chunks down if you need to, but choose chunks of language, not just words in isolation. Number 8 is look for patterns. Is there a pattern in the language that you're looking at that means it can be used again in a different situation? So, for example, would you like can be used in all sorts of situations. Would you like tea? Would you like sugar? And I'd like can be used to talk about food. It can be used to talk about bus tickets. It can be used for all sorts of things. So if there's a pattern in the language, that's always useful to point out, so that you can build on one use of it, several uses of the same chunk of language. Number 7, find the rhythm. Look for rhythm in words, look for rhythm in sentences. You can clap it, you can tap it, you can chant it, you can dance it with your shoulders. You could, if you're so inclined, take a whole short conversation and make a jazz chant or a rap. Sometimes rhythm makes things more memorable. It doesn't work for everyone, but it's something to try. Use lots of visuals. You can never have too many pictures. You can have pictures up all over the walls, pictures on the screen, laminated cards or storyboards for conversation. Lots of visual aids. Take away the reading element is number 5. This kind of relates back to number 6, but try using picture prompts for learners to practice conversations or dialogues instead of written scripts. This can be useful for ESOL literacies learners, but also just low-level learners who are not literacies learners. Sometimes if you have a written script, people get so bogged down in looking at that and trying to read what's on that they forget about the sort of the naturalness of speaking, and it takes away from the fluency. And yeah, so try picture prompts instead of written scripts. Number 4, there is strength in numbers. Lots of choral drilling, I find, gives learners confidence in the language and takes the pressure off them. So you can give learners lots of opportunities to practice in this way. You can, you can change the groupings, have smaller groups, but still keep the choral aspect of the drilling to help people feel natural and confident with the language before you get them to use it on their own. Number 3 is little and often. Applies to lots of things. Don't try to do too much at once. So make sure that your chunks of language are manageable for your learners, and keep coming back to them. Don't spend too much time in one lesson. Half an hour, 45 minutes a lesson is probably more than enough, and make it part of every lesson. So just keep coming back to it. Number 2 is take it slowly. There is no rush. It's probably not going to click immediately for every learner. So take it as slowly as they need to take it, and come back to it even after you think it has clicked, partly to consolidate, but also partly as a confidence booster, because it's something that they're familiar with and that they find easy. And top tip, number 1, find the fun. You know, it could be chanting that, or can you make some kind of a game or competition out of the language that you're practicing? I don't know, I sometimes play whispers, and the last person, you give somebody something to say and it has to go all the way around the classroom, and the same thing has to get back to the end. Or there's all sorts of things you can do to make it a bit more fun. And the most important thing is to relax, repeat, and remember. Those are not my words, they are Fluency MC's words, but I find them really important. So thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Thanks very much for those little nuggets. Very useful. And I know that in the autumn term, I have a couple of very low learner groups. So I will be coming back to this and thinking about it and taking it on board. So thanks a lot for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.